Hi everyone, this is Robert, and this is part of our series on the low frequency bioscan that you can use to create your own personal wellness program. The bioscan relies on some concepts in physics. One of those is quantum entanglement. Now, when you say quantum entanglement to most people, they're going like, oh, wait a minute now. Like the only person who can understand that is somebody who has a PhD in physics. Well, that's actually not true because, frankly, the average third grader can understand what quantum entanglement is all about when it's explained the right way. Quantum entanglement is no more difficult to understand than mixing two colors of paint. For example, we have red paint and we have some blue paint. Two very distinct colors. It's two different things. But when we mix them together, they become purple. They become a third thing. It's not red, it's not blue, it's purple. It's those two things perfectly united to be one thing. And that's it. That's all that quantum entanglement is all about. It's no more difficult than mixing two colors of paint. Now, when we look at doing a bioscan, as you know from the previous videos, we're looking at the resonant frequencies of the internal organs, which normally run between 1 and 100 hertz. And we're doing that using an XM generator and Spooky Pulse. So I want to start from the beginning and explain how this process works step by step. The first thing that's important for me is that I only use the remote treatment option. And I do that for one very important reason. I want the energy from the remote, from the generator, to travel through the DNA before it gets into anything else. I want the process to be uncomplicated as possible. So here's what happens. The energy travels through the DNA. When it does that, it's just like mixing those two colors of paint because the energy and the DNA turn into one thing. It's no longer just energy and just DNA. It's a combination of the two. Now the DNA contains all of the information about how your body is made. It's the blueprint for every cell in your body. Composition, structure, you name it. Composition and structure of any item determines what the vibrational rate is going to be. So every cell in your body vibrates at its own rate. Every organ in your body vibrates at its own rate. So here's what happens when we send the energy through the DNA. The energy and the DNA turn into one thing. And the DNA has all the information of exactly how your body is supposed to be constructed and how it's supposed to work. The original blueprint, the default settings, so to speak. So that energy and that frequency is traveling through your body and it's coming to an organ in your body or some body tissue, some part of your body that has been affected by illness. So there's some damage, some kind of damage in this body tissue. And here's what happens. The DNA and the energy know exactly what this is supposed to be, the way it's designed. But when they come to it, they find out that it's not in the original condition. It's been damaged. And when that happens, there's a disturbance. There is a fluctuation in the energy field of your body. There's a disruption. It's tiny, but it's there because these two things don't agree with each other. So this little disruption in the energy field of your body is something that can be measured. I'm sure there's a variety of ways to measure it, but the way that it's done with Spooky Squared Pulse is it measures little teeny tiny fluctuations in your heartbeat. And why does that work? Well, when the energy field in your body is disrupted by a little teeny tiny bit, that actually travels through every organ in your body. It can be measured in your heartbeat. Little teeny tiny fluctuations. And that's what Spooky Pulse does. That's what the software does. That's what the remote does. It all works in conjunction with each other to determine when there's any little fluctuation in your heartbeat, which is out of the ordinary, because it's normally going to fluctuate anyway, a little bit. When there's these little teeny tiny differences that are not quite normal or not average, then it shows up. And that's where you get the boop hit. And it shows up that there is damage in the tissue in the body. That's the basics in a nutshell. The energy and the information travels to the tissue. The tissue isn't quite in the right shape. There's feedback, and it creates a little spark in your electrical system in your body. That's measured by the Spooky Squared software. This produces a measurement of frequencies in the body that are outside, or they're just a little off from the resonant frequency that should be there. And that's what you end up getting with in your results, and it signifies that something is wrong. That's where we get our data from. Now, that information is compared to what's already in the database, and we owe a huge, huge thank you to the research teams that put together databases such as the Bio, Extra, PROV, PROV, and CAFL, because those frequency databases have some of those low frequencies that are in the resonant frequency range of the human body. Those are the ones that are going to show up. My experience when I used a 0.5 hertz initial step size was that when I do as many as 48 hits to create a program, there's normally 100% accuracy, relevancy, because I can go through that entire list and see which things in that list are pertinent to me. It may have been damage that was done in the past, maybe a health condition. It could be a lot of different things. But if you see at least one or two things in each little section, then okay, that frequency is right for me. And you go on down through all those frequencies, and as it turns out, it's normally every one of them. Now, when you do a fine tune that I mentioned in the PDF, and I think I mentioned it in one of the videos, when you want to fine tune your results, you set it to 1/10 of 1 hertz. And you're going to get a lot of frequency hits that don't necessarily match anything in the database. And there's a reason for that. It's just reading off of your individual DNA and your resonant frequencies in your body, which are not necessarily exactly the same as everybody else's. So what I mentioned in the PDF is when you've done several of these fine-tuning scans and you find a frequency that repeats several times through different scans, let's say you've done 3 scans and this one frequency shows up every time, that's relevant. Even though you can't find it in the database and you can't really find a description of it, and you're saying, well, what the heck does that do? It does do something. It's relevant to your situation. So that's a frequency that you can use with confidence to provide healing support for your body. Okay, that's most of it in a nutshell. I hope this was informative to you. And if you haven't watched the other videos already, I'll put links to those in the video description. And I want to wish all of you success in creating your programs and restoring health to your body. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.